Have you ever been asked to make a small change to a Visualforce page, but you weren't quite sure where to start because maybe it's something you haven't done in the past? Well, that's what we're going to cover in today's topic. I'm John Dillon, and we talk about all things related to Salesforce development on this YouTube channel. So we have a very simple Visualforce page here where we're simply showing a few of the fields for the case object. So, and we've been asked to show the created date on that. That's our use case for today. So what we can do is fire up Dev Console, and if we're not sure which Visualforce page it is, I'm actually going to go into that in a different video. So here I'll assume we know what we're editing. So we've got this very simple Visualforce page called Simple Case View, and it just consists of a page block, putting some fields. So in the use case that we have here, we need to add the created date to the list. So what we could do is simply type that in, very similar to what we're already putting out on the field. And that's really a common scenario when we're modifying a Visualforce page. If we're making a small change, chances are we can pretty much copy from another area of the page, or at least use other areas as a guide. And we want to display the created date. So all we've done is created a new output field, set the value, case.createdDate. And that's one of the nice things about a Visualforce page that's using a standard controller. This one has the standard controller of case. We have access to any of the fields on the object itself. And we can even reach into the parent accounts, parent objects. So when we come over here, if we refresh the page, we can see our new field, date time opened. So, which is that's how the created date is represented in this instance. So let's suppose we were asked to do something a little more involved than that. Suppose they want us to show something that's actually not just inherent on the object, that is something we either need to calculate or do a little bit of work to get the value. So what we're going to add to this page is a little warning if the date time opened, if it's been more than a week, then we're going to put a warning on this page. So there's several ways we can do it. I'm going to simply put at the top of the page a warning message up here, and we don't always want to show it. We only want to show it when conditionally. So for that we're going to use an output panel. So output panels can be rendered conditionally. The assumption here is that if we're pulling something that's not on the object itself, then we're going to have to do a little bit of work in Apex. So let's switch over to our controller class and start there. So this is a very simple controller. We just simply have a case object that this is all boilerplate stuff. If you haven't seen this before, see my video on your first Visualforce page. So what we need to do is something that's going to return the case age. So this is a property. It's a getter. We simply use the word get case age. In the Visualforce page, we actually don't need to use the word get, and we'll take a look at that when we get there. So to calculate the case age, we'll just take today's date and we'll subtract away from that the creation date of the case. And just to keep things simple, we'll just worry about individual days. We're not going to track minutes and seconds. So here we're taking created date and we're converting it from a date time to a date by using the date value of function. And then from there we call the days between, which will take one date and another date and tell you how many days are in between them. So between created date and today, and we're simply going to return that, and that is how we get case age to the Visualforce page. So let's use that here. So when we render this, we only want to render it if that gap is greater than 7. And the way we access the apex from Visualforce Page is we use a curly brace, exclamation point, and then put in our code, our access code, whether it's apex code, and then we close the curly brace. So what we want to do is evaluate case age is greater than 7. So this may look a little funny because our method is called getCaseAge, but using a get is such a common occurrence, we can strip it off when we access it, and we simply say caseAge, and that's how we access it. So if caseAge is greater than 7, now we want to put out an error message, a warning message. So we'll start with a div, and we already have our CSS for our warning preloaded here. We access the controller using curly braces, an exclamation point, and close curly braces. And again, we're using that same getter. So this will give us the case age. We can use the case age in a formula like this. This evaluates to true or false. And then here we're just using it as the decimal that it is. All right, let's see this in action. Now this was opened today on the day that I'm recording this. So we'll have to go to one that's a little older. And here we can see the case is 605 days old. So there you have it. That's how we access something that is not on the object. So a little more involved example of making a relatively small change to a Visualforce page. And again, if we do this one, we refresh it, it's fine because we're still within the window. So that warning message is hidden unless we actually need it. Well, I hope that was helpful. If you need to make a change to a Visualforce page, this could be a good starting point. If you're interested in pursuing more topics around Apex and Salesforce development, I encourage you to take my free evaluation. It's a questionnaire that will let you know where you are as far as like skills development on your road to becoming an Apex developer. And you can follow that at the link that's in the description or here at the bottom of the screen. And if this is unfamiliar to you as far as developing Visualforce, I encourage you to check out this video right here, which is my intro to writing your first Visualforce page. And we cover some of the things that I didn't mention here in more depth in that video. Well, okay, that's all we have for today, so I will see you next time.